Hello everyone. Today we have Lindsey Leigh Hobson from Australia and we will know about her. Hello, welcome to our show. How are you?
Thank you so much for having me. I'm very, very well. Thank you. How are you?
I'm fine. So you are motivational speaker and marketing professional from Australia. So what's your story?
Yes, okay. So there are definitely some moments in life that change who you are. And for me, one of those moments was when I was 16 years old. And, I grew up in a happy enough family home, but it wasn't till I was 11 when my parents actually sat me down at the kitchen bench and my dad was crying. And I remember that so vividly. He'd never seen him cry before, yet here he was. And my mum said to me, "We're getting a divorce, but this doesn't mean we don't love you, and it is definitely not your fault." And being 11, I just never considered consequences to actions or anything like that. And I have no idea if that's old or young. But then I began to wonder what else in life I could be causing. And over the next 5 years of my life, things were just not good, and there was a lot of unhappiness in my family, and I had a lot of anxiety. And the conclusion that I kept coming to was that it was all my fault. And so when I was 16, I came to the end conclusion that, well, if I'm causing so many horrible things, if you remove me from life, then people I care about have a chance to be happy. So I thought, all right, I'm going to do it. I'm going to actually end my own life. But I didn't obviously do anything straight away. I thought, if I'm going to do this, I'm going to actually tidy my room first. And, that's the way mum liked it. So it was just a really logical thought at the time that I'll tidy my room and then I'll go and finish off. And so I remember so vividly stuffing clothes back into a cupboard. And I remember just one thought ran through my head. And the thought was, what if you're wrong? What if none of this is your fault? And what if your only responsibility in any of it was your choice to participate or not? And it was in that moment that I realized that you are never as trapped in life as you feel like you are. And there are always more opportunities than you can potentially see. So I've set out to spend the rest of my life proving that. And it wasn't always an easy journey. I've had a lot of ups and downs and, heartbreaks and amazing stories and failed businesses and different careers and everything between then and now, so 12 years later. But I think I'm finally, with Stick It, in a place where I have more people to understand that there are opportunities out there that you might not be aware of.
Okay. So now you think your mission is to empower 1 million adults around the world. So,
To break the mold, yeah.
so tell us about your this mission around the world, not in Australia, around the world.
Yeah, absolutely, because I've always had a fascination with human emotion, and behavior is just one way for us to express what we're feeling and thinking. And it's just always really fascinated me that it doesn't matter what culture you come from, emotions are very similar all the way through. So for me, I chose global because there are so many people out there that are experiencing that same sort of trapped feeling, that want to make a difference in the world but don't really know where to start, and are scared that if they do try something that it won't work and they'll let people down. And that's a global thing, especially in young adults in this generation. So that's why I targeted around the world. I'm like, do you know what? Go big or go home.
Okay. So Lindsay, I see you doing lives and recorded videos and you share your thoughts to the people. So what inspires you? What motivates you to record your videos?
To the videos. So I did a marketing challenge about 6 months ago, actually. This is how my lives came into being. I did a marketing challenge, just a 30-day challenge. And part of that was you had to commit to record a certain number of content each week for a year. And so I thought, you got to pick what medium that was, and I chose Facebook Lives because it's a fantastic way to make a connection with a large amount of people. And Facebook's algorithm will support a Facebook Live, so it will share it further than just a piece of content or a question or a photo or even a video you upload into Facebook. So Facebook will push a live a lot further. And I went, big mission, 1 million young adults. And I went, what's the best way to get in front of them and make a connection with them? Facebook Lives. And that's where I've been going ever since.
Okay, so we human are same, whether we live in Europe, whether we live in Asia, whether we live in other country. We have same emotions, and similarly, we have same fears. So many of us face fear of unknown, which uh, which stops us to do anything, to take initiative. How would you see this? How can we overcome on this fear of unknown?
The fear of the unknown is unique for so many people, but there is some commonalities amongst it. So how it represents itself in certain people's lives will look different, but it always comes down to a fear of not being able to handle what happens next as part of it. That's obviously not in totality, it's just one part of it. And so by actually facing the unknown just one step at a time, instead of looking at it as a giant concept that you have to grasp all in one go, look at it as one little piece of a puzzle, one foot in front of the other, one consistent step after one consistent step. And you'll slowly grow your comfort zone. And as you're doing that, what was once uncomfortable and unknown will become comfortable and known. So as you're doing that step by step, it may be just daily, weekly, monthly, maybe even yearly steps. But as you do that, you grow and expand as a person. The unknown becomes known, and the impossible becomes possible. So that's what the secret to it is. It's just one little step after the other.
Okay, so as year changes, new year comes, we set our goals to achieve our objectives and destinations. But sometimes we face difficulty and we say, "Oh, time is running out quickly." And how to stick with the goals? So, how would you suggest one? How can we track our goals? Okay, are we going towards right directions?
Yeah. So the first thing is when you're setting goals is be really aware of who you are and what you want to achieve in life. And I think so many people will relate to what I'm about to say and they may never have thought of it this way. For some people, it's not about goals and achieving things. For some people, it's about experiences, or some people, it's about creating memories and stories. So find something that resonates for you if a goal is something that actually puts you off, and then work to achieve that. And when your motivation is starting to dwindle and you're starting to feel like it's really hard to achieve it, make sure that you have small, and it comes back to that consistent steps, one after the other, and in pieces of encouragement along the way. So when I'm working with my clients, I always look at 3 goals. One that's fairly easy to achieve that we can have small and quick wins on very quickly. A medium length one, which is a little bit scarier, a little bit more meaty, but will pay off in a little bit longer time. And a massive, scary, hairy, audacious goal that when you think about achieving it, sets all your goosebumps up and the little hairs on the back of your neck stand up. And that's the one which you can really lose motivation on, because that could take years to achieve, whether it is a goal or an experience or a story. But if you have the other 2 smaller ones and are working on small, consistent wins and staying encouraged, you'll find that the time goes really fast, and before you know it, you're 3/4 of the way there to achieving some really magical stuff.
Okay. So, let's say any plan for coming to Pakistan in future or near future?
I would like to go everywhere in the near future, so I'm open to all suggestions. I don't have any set travel plans. I am looking to go to the USA next year, and I'm hoping that if I have enough interest in countries like Pakistan and other countries, I'll be able to get there as well very soon.
Okay, so we would love to, host you, and Pakistan is a very beautiful country.
Thank you. I've heard it is stunning.
Yeah. So, we were discussing before the interview about knowledge is power. I would like you to tell us about how knowledge is power. We always hear from different people, but how would you explain this?
My experience with it, because as you said, it's not a new concept, it's something a lot of people say. My personal experience with coming to that aha moment and that epiphany that no knowledge really is power is when I was battling my anxiety back when I was 20, 21, and it was crippling. It was absolutely crippling. I couldn't function. I was barely able to get through a day. And I theorized, because I'm quite curious and I'm quite a thinker, I theorized that if you could take the anxious feeling away, then I could explore what was going on in my head and get more knowledge around what it was, deal with that, and then I could remove the anxiety. So I went about doing that. So I went to see my doctor and I got some advice, and I went on some anxiety medication for 6 months, and it 100% worked for me. Obviously, everyone's different, but that's how I realized that knowledge is power, because by going through that experience, I got educated and I had to really live and breathe that if I know what's going on in my head, then I have the power to do something about it. And I've barely had any anxiety 7 years on from that. I do yoga and I meditate regularly, and I eat healthily to make sure it doesn't come back if there is a chance, because I don't know, everyone's different. But because of that experience of really living and breathing knowledge is power, I'm able to have a completely different life to I would have otherwise.
Yeah, in the age of information technology, we must grab right and relevant information. That is very necessary, and that is the path.
100%, definitely.
So let's see, what is the message for the amazing people, family around the world?
Yeah, so Stick It is my revolution, and it is to empower 1 million young adults around the world to break the mold. Because as I've shared with you through this interview, you are just never as trapped in life as you feel like you are, and you always have more opportunities than you're able to perceive in any given moment. And the trick to living a life that is better and bigger than anything you have ever imagined is by breaking free of that trapped feeling and seizing those opportunities. But first, you have to be able to see them. So if you're looking to make a difference, then make sure you get knowledgeable. Knowledge is power. And begin to live and breathe in that opportunistic space. And suddenly, a whole world will open up in front of you that you didn't even know existed.
For sure. So viewers, how was today's session? And if you want to learn from Lindsey, and if you want to learn how to live fully, so you can follow her on her page with the name of Lindsey Leigh Hobson. And if you want, if you have any query, any question, you can ask me via comment section. So thank you, Lindsey. Thank you so much. It was very amazing and fruitful discussion with you, and I enjoyed and learned a lot. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much for having me, and remember to stick it, guys.